Welcome. Video one of machine learning, really just decision trees. But let's talk about what is a decision tree a part of. So when it comes to decision trees, it's a machine learning algorithm. But when it comes to machine learning algorithms, we have to understand that there are a few other types of algorithms that exist within machine learning that we should be aware of. We have supervised learning, we have unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. In that orange box is for the fact that there's other types of learning that we don't have time to discuss. When it comes to supervised learning, the key indicator here is that you have a response variable, an outcome variable that you are trying to predict, trying to understand, utilizing some explanatory variables. If you're familiar with multiple linear regression, yes, multiple linear regression is a version of supervised learning. There's also decision trees, naive Bayes, there's cluster, that's not true, sorry. There's, oh my gosh, neural networks, things that are within ChatGPT, are versions of supervised learning. So that's cool. However, what makes supervised learning, nuance is that we have an outcome variable. We have a response variable. There are times when we legitimately do not have an outcome variable. We just have the explanatory variables, and we have to make sense of the data in of itself. And that's what we call unsupervised learning. Unsupervised learning. And last but not least, I think I give this justice. However, when it comes to reinforcement learning, you have this agent, and essentially it's a machine, it's a program, and what it's trying to do is trying to maximize the reward function. I like to call it, in more statistical terms, an objective function. And you're trying to maximize, at least the computer's trying to maximize that objective function, reward function, through a bunch of trial and error. With these three different techniques, let me tell you, they are so much more detailed than what I'm giving you all. I'm just giving you just the surface of what's going on when it comes to machine learning. But let's go into a little more details of an example of each one. Okay, so like we can kind of solidify some understanding regarding these three different learning techniques. The first one, supervised learning technique, is where we legitimately have an input and a corresponding output, response variable, explanatory variable. Let's say, for example, you're trying to detect credit card fraud. Someone stole your credit card, so therefore they're gonna not behave like you would traditionally behave. I'm gonna move my face. Like they're gonna behave traditionally how you don't traditionally behave, and so they can utilize those predictors, those explanatory variables, where you purchase, how much you purchase, to predict if it was a fraudulent transaction or not. Especially location. Like if you're in California and the transaction happens in Walla Walla, Tennessee, I think someone stole your identity. So that's supervised learning. When it comes to unsupervised learning, is when you're trying to, again, you don't have a response variable. And this is huge in terms of trying to look at purchasing behavior. Like you have a bunch of individuals in terms of the time they go to the grocery store, the items that they purchase, the amount of the actual item, things of that regard. All those different variables can be measured on customers, but then you don't know what you're trying to predict. You don't necessarily have an outcome that you're trying to analyze. So you can kind of cluster, group these individuals based on the variability that is seen within the actual data. When it comes to reinforcement learning, I haven't had to program this. One day I'll get to, but the idea is that you have some agent, aka like a car, like a Tesla, and you're trying to get it from Los Altos to Los Angeles. And so, you have that particular goal in mind, and then you have to, figure out what's the best route based on trial and error. And so that's the basic understanding of reinforcement learning. So what we're going to do in this particular series is look at machine learning algorithms. Boom. We're going to focus on supervised learning. Boom. Within supervised learning, there's an algorithm called decision trees. Okay. Decision trees are important because they allow you to graphically see how the algorithm is working regarding a particular outcome. Okay, so we're going to go down to the bare bones of decision trees. My coffee is good today. The bare bones of decision trees to really understand what's going on. All right, so let's do a quick recap. So what we did was we just discussed machine learning, right? Why it's important. We discussed the different types of machine learning algorithms: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning, and then finally we talked about, gave an example of each of those three different types of learning, knowing that there are others that exist. And yeah, we'll talk about decision trees in the next video. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video.